Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we will have both Select Board and County Commissioners tonight. We are going to do Select Board first. And the first item, I'm going to call the Select Board meeting to order, and the first item on the agenda is the election of officers. So we will take nominations for Chair of the Select Board. Does anyone want to make a nomination?
I'd like to nominate Dawn as chair.
Do I have a second?
I'll nominate you as chair, but you don't want it.
I decline, thank you very much. Is there a second for Dawn?
I'll second Dawn.
Okay, all right, great. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thanks to everybody. I've enjoyed serving, and I'm going to pass my seat to Dawn.
Okay, now we need nominations for a vice chair.
I nominate Matt Fee.
Okay, I was going to nominate Malcolm, but I'll take it.
Okay.
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 All right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 That carries unanimously.
Thanks to you both for being willing.
I don't believe there's any changes to the agenda. That's up next. Announcements, Erica?
Thank you. So the select board meeting is being audio and video recorded. And then I will be reviewing the annual committee applicants for you. The Agricultural Commission, you have 2 seats available and 2 applicants, Ella Potenza and Isaac Basibi. Airport Commission, 1 seat available and 2 applicants, Walter Flaherty and Michael Levitt. Board of Health, 1 seat available and 2 applicants, Carrie McKenna and Louisa Lindgren. Cannabis Advisory Committee, 1 seat available and 0 applicants. Capital Program Committee, 1 seat available and 1 applicant, Caroline Baltzer. Cemetery Commission, 1 seat available and 1 applicant, Jason Leonardo Finger. Coastal Resiliency Advisory Committee, 1 seat available and 1 applicant, Joanna Roach. Conservation Commission, 3 seats available and 3 applicants, Seth Engelborg, Michael Mizzarelli, and Joe Plandowski. Contract Review Subcommittee for Human Services, 1 seat available and 0 applicants. Council for Human Services, 4 seats available and 4 applicants, Suzanne Keating, Amanda Wright, Tara Restieri, and Deborah Gudeman. Council on Aging, 4 seats available and 5 applicants, Tony Walsh, Robert Kucharvi, Erin Lynch, Kelsey Gray, and Diane Flaherty. Cultural Council, 4 seats available and 3 applicants, Barbara Tibbetts, Bethany Oliver, and Sarah Ellis. Finance Committee, 4 seats available and 8 applicants, Martin McCarrow, Jill Veith, Anthony Gudeman, Chris Glowacki, Shelley Lockwood, Rick Atherton, Kit Murphy, and Matthew Mulcahy. Historic District Commission Associate, 1 seat available and 1 applicant, Constance Patton. Nantucket Affordable Housing Trust, 1 seat available, 2 applicants, John Wise and Mary O'Connor Mack. Nantucket Historical Commission, 2 seats available and 3 applicants, Abby DeMolina, Linda Williams, and Caroline Baltzer. Planning Board Alternate, 1 seat available and 1 applicant, Abby DeMolina. Real Estate Assessment Committee, 1 seat available and 1 applicant, Lee Saperstein. Roads and Right-of-Way Committee, 3 seats available and 2 applicants, Alan Reinhard and Rick Atherton. Scholarship Committee, 2 seats available and 0 applicants. Steamship Authority Port Council, 1 seat available and 1 applicant, Nathaniel Lowell. Tree Advisory Committee, 2 seats available and 1 applicant, Emily Molden. Zoning Board of Appeals, 1 seat available and 1 applicant, Lisa Botticelli. Zoning Board of Appeals, alternate, 1 seat available, 0 applicants. You did have a couple of incumbents who applied late, so we're going to try to get the process going for round 2 sooner rather than later. And starting on your June 4th meeting, you're going to have your first set of meetings with the applicants for them to introduce themselves and review their applications. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any select board announcements or comments to open with? Okay, seeing none. Update on public comment questions from prior select board meetings? Erica?
So I usually put these on the screen, but I'm going to read them because I'm not going to be able to read them up on the screen. Sorry. Okay, these are from the May 21st meeting. Question from Rita Carr. What was the contractor process for the repair of the Civil War monument on Main Street? Where is the current location of the historic pieces removed from the monument? The town's response, the town authorized Bartlett Consolidated to handle the insurance claim to pay for the repair work, and Bartlett Consolidated selects and coordinates the contractor to perform the job. Holly Backus, the town's preservation planner, discussed and approved the granite material that was chosen for the repairs. The original granite pieces broken in the vehicle accident are with Bartlett Consolidated and will be delivered to the DPW. Amy Eldridge. Question, I am curious when we will know a decision on special town meeting. If it takes place, what will be the parameters for the time frame? Will it be open to citizen articles? I want to understand the process of whether it comes back from town meeting and if the ballot question vote from the election will be used as a companion vote. And that's in regards to Our Island Home. The town's response, construction of a new Our Island Home skilled nursing facility was endorsed by voters at Nantucket's annual town election on May 21st, but failed to receive the required 2/3 vote for approval at the May 3rd annual town meeting, jeopardizing the project as currently proposed. The town and its consultants will now consider alternative options for Our Island Home, some new and some previously evaluated, with the goal of presenting a more affordable and acceptable project. How could the project return to town meeting? At its meeting on May 28th, the Select Board will be discussing how it may want to proceed or not with items that had both a warrant article at town meeting and a companion ballot question at the election, which either had mixed results, i.e. one failed, one passed, or failed at both the town meeting and election. Role of the ballot question. It is the role of the Select Board to consider how the result of votes will determine the next steps. That discussion will take place at the board's May 28th meeting. Question from Campbell Sutton, update or summary on the forums we had regarding the master plan. Town response. Community feedback has played a critical role in shaping the master plan update so far. Here's a summary of the public forums and engagement activities to date. Community survey. This island-wide survey gathered input from over 1,000 participants and helped identify key priorities such as housing, transportation, climate resilience, and quality of life. And there's a hyperlink for the community survey summary online. Kitchen conversations. These small informal group discussions allowed residents to share their perspectives in a conversational setting. And there is a hyperlink to the kitchen conversation summary document online. And then visioning workshop, which was held April 4th through 5th, 2025, a 2-day interactive event where attendees helped shape a vision for Nantucket's future. And there is a hyperlink for the workshop summary and outcomes. All of this information has been posted to the master plan update page, of which there is a hyperlink on the website as well, on the town's website, where community members can stay informed and sign up to receive notifications about upcoming engagement opportunities. And that's all.
Thank you. Next up, we have public comment for items that are otherwise not on the agenda. We do have a policy that per item that we're limited to 3 minutes. And I will go to Amy Eldridge, who I see at the mic.
Hi, Amy Eldridge. Couple of quick questions. You guys are going to be speaking about the potential for the election results from the Island Home. Will there be comment later today from the public, or should I do that now?
I mean, you can go ahead and do it now because it's not, it's just follow-up from
Right, that's
town
what I figured. I
meeting,
just
so
wanted to make sure it was-
It's pretty broad.
Okay. So I just have concerns about the time frame in which this would occur, and also what is considered a favorable vote. It won by 185 votes at town election, but it failed by 2/3 vote at town meeting. So I don't understand how, like, where we're figuring out that that's like 185 is favorable. What is the percentage? Is it 60-40? That's what I've heard from somebody on the capital projects committee, was that you guys would like to see it have passed the ballot by 60%, which that didn't occur. It's more like 54%. So I'd like to understand what the parameters are that you guys think is favorable in the community's eyes as the voters, and what is not. And that's it on the Island Home. My next concern is the Mass DOT project on Milestone Road. This morning on my way into work, I noticed a gentleman in what should be the lane going straight out Milestone Road, trying to make a left-hand turn across the indicated, like partially indicated turn lane, which then put him almost driving head-on into a person trying to make a left-hand turn in the turn lane to go out Milestone Road. Because the main part of the road has not had any painting, and the little yellow lines go through that intersection, and there's just like chalk or like spray paint in those areas kind of indicating what you're supposed to do. I think it would be in the best interest of the town to find out when they're going to put that in place if the project's going on hold in 2 weeks, because there's going to be an accident there. It's so confusing, and nobody knows who's in the right, where they're supposed to turn, because it's just this little chalk delineation on either side of the break for the turn, and people coming off Milestone Road onto Pulpus have no idea what they're supposed to be doing because it's not clearly laid out. If you look at it from the Pulpus Road side by Island Lumber, it's very well delineated. There's a nice arrow showing that if you're in the left lane, you need to turn left. If you're in the right lane, you need to turn right. But nothing on the main state part of the highway that indicates how people are supposed to properly drive through that area. So I hope that you guys can maybe reach out to DOT and see what the plans are for getting the lines drawn out so we understand how we're supposed to be driving through there. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see anyone else in the audience. I have one hand up online. Ra Franza? Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
We're thinking the same, but I will allow them. Sorry, we're thinking the same.
Okay,
I guess
just be
I'll
ready to
allow
shut it
them
down
to
if
talk,
it's
and I'll
an
be ready
issue.
to close them.
Hi, it was an accident, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have approval of minutes, warrants, and pending contracts.
Move approval?
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Real estate matters. Request for approval and execution of grant of utility easement to Nantucket Electric, National Grid for underground electric distribution system located in, through, under, over, across, and upon 16 Broad Street. Good evening. Could you state your name for the record?
Yes. Good evening, Madam Chair. Congratulations, members of the board. Robert Bystrowski, real estate specialist. We're here to request your approval and execution of a grant of easement from the town of Nantucket to Nantucket Electric Company for underground electric distribution system in a portion of 16 Broad Street, which, as you know, is Town Hall. The easement is for the installation of a 3-phase switchgear module and 2 sections of concrete encased conduit, and it was the subject of a temporary license agreement approved at your January 29, 2025 meeting, and also approved as Article 97 at the 2025 annual town meeting. Our staff recommendation is for approval and execution of the document in the form prepared by National Grid and reviewed by town council.
Okay, are there any board questions, comments, motion?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
That carries unanimously. Next up, we have the same request for Amelia Drive and Waite Drive.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening again. Robert Bystrowski, real estate specialist. This is the request for your approval and execution of a grant of easement from the town of Nantucket to Nantucket Electric Company for an underground electric distribution system in a portion of Waite Drive and 7 Amelia Drive. This same installation was the subject of a temporary license agreement approved by this board on January 29, 2025, and also approved as Article 98 at the 2025 annual town meeting. Our staff recommendation is that you approve and execute the document in the form prepared by National Grid and reviewed by town council.
Any questions, comments, motions?
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Town Managers Report, preliminary 2025 annual town election follow-up. I see Libby online.
So in your packet, there is a sheet about this. So what I did here is, sorry about that. What I did here is listed out well, let me back up a tad. The purpose of this agenda item is to review with the board what it says here on the sheet, whether or not the board believes any follow-up is necessary by town administration for ballot questions that had companion town meeting warrant articles that either failed or had mixed results, such as one passed, one failed. So going through those ballot questions, we had ballot question number 1, which was supplemental funding for the Public Works facility design improvements. That was a debt exclusion. It did not pass at either the town meeting or the election. So that is probably kind of a no-brainer. And the recommendation would be to continue working with the architect and the OPM, the owner's project manager, to see how the facility might be able to be downsized in a way that would reduce overall cost but not compromise its efficiencies and benefits, and or create a stronger outreach plan for the 2026 annual town meeting, including addressing the concerns and comments that came out of the town meeting discussion and the other items listed there. Confirm alignment with the Hunting Association, more tours of the facility, and other potential outreach issues. I should also back up a tad, and although it might come up somewhere during this discussion here, originally, when there was some discussion several months ago about the possibility of a special town meeting this fall, it was intended to be for either the Public Works facility construction, which presumed that this supplemental design money would pass at the town meeting and ballot, which of course it did not, or Island Home, something for the Island Home. I'm not sure either of those are valid at this point, or valid might not be the right word, ready for a special. So I'm not sure there's so much of a need for that anymore. And I can review with you at a later time, either at this meeting or a future one, about what other items we had discussed potentially putting on a special town meeting warrant, all of which could potentially wait for the annual. So the second ballot question was the construction of the new Our Island Home. And as we know, that did pass rather narrowly at the election. And it did get a majority vote at the town meeting, but not the required 2/3 vote. So we've had a couple of internal meetings about this, and we are working on a presentation for the board that would evaluate potential alternatives for the island home at your June 11th meeting. Supplemental funding for the construction of the Tom Nevers bike path. That was a debt exclusion as well. That passed at both the election and town meeting. Final design is underway, and actually there, I believe on June 4th, the final design will be brought to the board for approval, and then procurement will proceed after that. The debt exclusion for funding for town employee housing did not pass at either the ballot or the town meeting, so we'll have to regroup on that one. The capital outlay exclusion, which was ballot question number 5, passed at the election and it passed at town meeting, and we will do the usual follow-up, which involves procurement as the next step. There were 2 non-binding questions, one at town meeting, one at the election, regarding interest in switching to a town council form of government. That did not get passed at either of those events, town meeting or the election. And I have a couple of notes here for the board's consideration. If there was any inclination at all to call a special town meeting for any of the articles that failed at town meeting but passed at the ballot, there isn't a specific deadline by which to hold that special town meeting, other than a so-called described in the statute reasonable period of time. And of course, there's the associated risk of a cost increase for whatever project we might be talking about. If there were a board inclination to call a special town meeting for any of the ballot questions that failed at, sorry, I'm trying to read and think at the same time. I'm sorry, if there were an inclination to call a special election for any of the ballot questions that failed but passed at the town meeting, we would need to hold that special election by September 15th. And there is a lead time in order to proceed to either of those. Oh, and the charter issue, I'm sorry, the town council issue, I did have a little asterisk there on that. If the board were considering moving that to a town meeting, which would be a potential next step to change our form of government, there is a significant lead time both to prepare the new charter and for the public education and outreach. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions, comments?
Madam Chair. Yeah, I would say on town council, our chair, Joe Grouse, emailed today and said about a meeting on June 11th, which is not set yet. So I would say on that, it might be best for TCSC, as we call it, to meet, see how they feel about it, and then maybe report back to us and see where things are after that.
Okay, that makes sense.
I was going to kind of say the same thing. I would like to hear what their feeling is on it. I have opinions, but I'll wait, I'll hold till that conversation happens as an agenda item. I'm not inclined to represent our island home in its current form and rush to do so. I think taking time to evaluate, I hope the community understood when they made their votes in both places that, not passing it would mean that there's a risk of increased cost, and that is where we're at. And so I think that town meeting did vote against it, and as disappointing as that is, I don't think rushing to represent the same plan to the community that voted it down at town meeting makes a whole lot of sense. I think reviewing alternatives and perhaps finding something that might be more palatable to town meeting next spring makes the most sense. And I don't think we can do all that work for a special town meeting. So I wouldn't call a special town meeting for our island home for sure, in my opinion now. And then I agree with the recommendations on the other things that didn't pass, that really, the message to me was loud and clear that the numbers are, there's a lot, and we knew this when we did the collision conversation and all of that. And I'd like to say with the DPW site, maybe we can pare it down, but I want to remind the community that we don't build 70-year buildings for today's needs. We build 70-year buildings for 70 years into the future, and that it's cheaper to build today for the future than to wait and add tomorrow. So I just wanted to get that message out there with regard to the DPW facility, and hope that maybe we can, make the number slightly more palatable. I'm afraid we're going to get less for more by waiting, which is typically what happens, but I heard the voters loud and clear on that. And, but I still, with every fiber of my being, support the need for a new DPW facility.
Anybody else?
I think it was all said.
We'll get a lot further into any potential alternatives for the island home in June. There's some possibilities, but it needs some regrouping.
Yeah, Madam
as
Chair,
does everything else.
it's all been said. And my feedback on our island home, wherever I go, is there another way to do it? And I know there's been committees that have studied it for years and years, so I think until we answer that question, we won't get support as is presently planned.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I just wanted to say that after being on the board and listening to our presentations and all that, and even though it didn't work out how your committee wanted to, you guys put in a lot of really great effort on that to see through a lot of complicated issues. And I'm really impressed by the work that you guys all did. And I know it's not the outcome that you all wanted, but really good work.
Yeah, and I think, I'll talk with the island home real quick. I think some of this, I sent everybody a letter I sent to the Inky like 4 or 5 years ago, which kind of was saying sort of where we're heading now. But I worry about the state of where where Medicare and everything's under pressure right now. So I worry about even assuming things are going to be like they are today, 3 years from now, 4 or 5 years from now, I think is a little tricky at this point. And so and I also think one of the things that has to be presented when we finally do, sort of go forward is, what does the closure look like? What does a closure of the island home look like? How long is it going to take? How much is it going to cost? I think the public, has voted to do that. I mean, maybe we can do something else, but, we listened to the public and, and Brooke and others were very clear. I think the public needs to know what that is too. They need to know what their options are so that they're saying, a scaled down version or closure, and this is what they look like, and this is how long it's going to take. I think that is what needs to be presented.
Yeah, there will be financial implications with closure and also just to keep it running if that's the choice for however, as long as we can, which is not looking like that long. Yeah, I know that we'll be considering a proposal that removes a wing, but it downsizes the number of beds and it does not downsize the cost by the same kind of percentage. So I feel like it's actually potentially a harder sell, but we'll get further into it with the proper information in June.
Yeah, Don, just one more thing around Island Home. The idea that we can make it smaller, I think what people don't understand is that there's costs, whether it's 10 rooms or 45 rooms, that are fixed, right? And when you cut off rooms, you cut off revenue. And so you basically, in essence, increase the operating deficit by making a smaller island home. And I think that we need to do that analysis and explain to people that it may cost less to build today, but it will cost more to run in the long run if you're not bringing in revenue from those additional beds, however many they are that people think, it's a good idea to reduce. So I think communications, and it's in Libby's report, is, and hoping we can get folks to really spend time to understand the complexity of this in a way that maybe, we did a lot of outreach, but maybe not enough.
Well, I mean, one of the big things that keeps resurfacing is why can't we keep it where it is? And it's too small. It does not meet standards. And we would have to downsize the number of beds to stay where we are. And we would have to close to be able to do the renovation or rebuild. So we would have to go through all of the same steps of closure and then do a complete start over with probably something more like 20 beds, which is not a good business model or is not providing the services. There's 40 people in residence right now. So we will talk about it further. Oh, there's, Libby?
If I can mention, and you will hear more about this when we bring the presentation to you. Back to the issue of why can't we build it where it is? It would be reduced beds because as you.
Sorry, I can't hear you. Can you try that again?
You'll hear more about this at the meeting when we present an evaluation of the alternatives. However, as you rightly point out, there's not enough space to renovate and have the island home where it is. And renovations are most likely going to trigger code compliance issues that will necessitate much more significant work than we would be able to do with anybody in there. And as we already believe, people would have to move out while that work is being done, and it wouldn't be even close to the size that would make sense. But
Thank you.
more about that soon.
Yep, more to follow.
Yeah, the other thing that people have to remember, that wasn't to code the day we built it. The day we built it, we had to ask for exemptions for room size. So we don't want to repeat that mistake again. If we're gonna spend $1 gazillion, let's not, let's actually meet code on day one and hopefully for 15 or 20 years. So anyway.
And to Matt's point, we had several presentations about how much the regulations have changed since COVID. That's another,
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have select board reports and comments.
Can I say one thing
Yes.
under town manager report that I forgot earlier? The town manager e-news will be out tomorrow.
Thank you. Do we? Doesn't look like we have anything conflicting, so. That to Erica.
Chair, I do request to move off the Board of Health. I would add, though, that I'd like one more meeting.
Is your mic on?
We are having an issue, I can sort of get it as semi-committee report, is that we've been granting variances for alternate design septic systems to get a bedroom credit. And some controversy and emotion has come up of what's the advantage of the alternate design versus the environmental impact of one bedroom. So I'm planning to actually have some education about that. So I'd like to set that up at the next meeting in June, and then someone else can take over in July.
Okay, I think Tom is willing to take over. Are you good with waiting one meeting?
sure, that's fine.
Okay, and everyone else is happy with there's a couple on there that, now that I'm chair, you'll put one of them.
Can I just go through them through
Yeah.
the list? Does that work?
Yep.
So the ad hoc budget work group, that's going to be the chair and vice chair, so Dawn and Matt. The audit committee is the chair, which is Dawn, but we need one more member for the audit committee.
I'll do it.
Okay, so that will be Dawn and Malcolm. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading this wrong. Give me one sec. So ad hoc budget, Malcolm, you had your name tagged on that, but that has to be the chair and vice chair. And then audit committee is the chair and vice chair. So it was, I have Dixon marked as audit committee and I have McNabb, but then more.
Isn't the audit committee chair plus one?
It is. So it would be Dawn, but then who's going to be the other person?
Malcolm.
Okay.
Malcolm.
I think,
It's a column.
so Board of Health is going to be Tom? Okay. Cannabis Advisory, Dawn.
Yep, that's fine.
Capital Program, Dawn.
Yes.
Okay. Coastal Resiliency, Matt. Community Preservation, Tom.
Yes.
Affordable Housing Trust, Brooke. There's a question about the Parking Benefit District Commission. This has not been an active committee since it was first established. And the question is whether you want to dissolve this for now or categorize it as inactive.
So the NPDC has had a discussion about amending BPAC to have a broader mission that may include parking. So my recommendation is that we don't seat anyone on this and wait for NPDC. They may make a request to the board, select board, to merge parking into their, we just have to have a discussion whether it falls under planning commission or, whether it appropriately falls under planning commission as well. So that conversation's happening at the NPDC, so I say we hold.
So make this inactive temporarily. Okay.
I think
You
it's
need that as
important.
a motion or, oh,
I
sorry.
think it's important that this is something that was voted, 3, 4, 5 years ago. We held off on it because of COVID in large part. But I think this is, when you look at the surveys for the master plan, the largest bubble, the largest complaint about Nantucket from everybody is traffic. And I think that, I think that we, how do I say it? So I just think we need to put a renewed focus on it. I'm not sure the focus will come, merely from MPDC. I think there should be a parking commission. I think there should be a parking commission with separate people that's what they do. There'll be a lot of funding. It would help fund NRTA. It would make it possible for people to drive downtown and find a spot if we operated it properly. I think there's a lot of benefits. It would clean up some of the neighborhoods that are overwhelmed by vehicles, et cetera. Now, we would be able to fund free NRTA, whether the state gave us some money or not, if we were doing paid parking. And that money could enable the buses to run more frequently and more people would be on them. I just think that I don't think we can grow our way out of our traffic problems. We can't grow our way out of that. We can't, speed up, we can't do turning lanes and roundabouts at millions of dollars a year apiece and think that we're gonna improve the traffic here. This is we have to look at this holistically at some point, and I hope it's soon.
Based on that, is it consensus to make this temporarily inactive, or do you want to take a vote on that?
Do we have consensus?
It's not going away, it's just,
We need to talk about it and set it up and get started on, in my opinion. So if it's inactive or not inactive, it's still gonna take some motion from the town and.
Yeah,
So-
but for now, the committee is inactive, but we'll bring it back as an agenda item.
Yeah, that's
okay,
fine.
so consensus.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erica.
The PEG NCTV 18 board, that would be Malcolm? PEG NCTV?
Yes.
For you, okay. The Pulpus Harbor Municipal Property Advisory Committee. So this is something that's been in place for years, but it's very inactive. It usually comes up like maybe once a decade if there's an issue out at Pulpus Harbor. So do you want to dissolve this or make it inactive?
I would leave it if it becomes an issue it meets, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So inactive, but for now, we'll just kind of keep it off your list.
Who would
and we
call
can
the
bring it
meeting?
back.
Because I've been on it and have never gone to a meeting. So
It's
it's a good committee for that reason.
So Nantucket Conservation Foundation has a rep on there, and Nantucket Community Sailing has a rep. There's a Pulpus resident that has a seat on there. Although that person sold their property, wasn't it Dr. Pearl? Or was it somebody else? Anyway, that's a good question. There hasn't been one in years, though. So we'll do that one inactive.
Okay.
And Town Council Study Committee, we're just hitting the pause on that until their next meeting, and we'll come back to that. The Washington Street Resiliency Work Group, and that would be Malcolm as well.
And Matt. It's
Oh,
two.
there's two? Okay, he wasn't marked on there. Okay, so Matt and Malcolm for that, and we'll hold off on the MPCC until we do county.
Yes. Okay,
Thank you.
perfect, thank you. Are there any committee reports? Okay, seeing
Coastal
none.
Resiliency met on Tuesday, and Brian and Libby gave a presentation and spoke about a letter about funding and options, and I think it was a very good discussion from both directions, so that people can understand sort of what the points are. So it was good.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion to adjourn, and we'll go to county.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That carries unanimously, and I'll turn it over to you, Tom.
Just give me one. Okay.
Call to order the May 28th, 2025 County Commissioners meeting at 6:12 PM. First order of business is election of officers for county commissioners. Are there any nominations for county commissioners? For chair, excuse me.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Was it Dawn or Brooke?
Yes.
One of you. Dawn.
Dawn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Nominations for vice chair of county. Is there-
I nominate Malcolm.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes unanimously. Thank you, Malcolm. Public comment for items not on our agenda for county commissioners. We already had select board. Seeing none, move on. There's no new business that I'm aware of. Approval of minutes and warrants.
So moved?
Matt, moved by Matt. Is there a
Second.
second? Second by Brooke. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes aye. That passes unanimously. Official business, 2025-26, appointment of county representative to Nantucket Planning and Economic Development Commission. Is there a nomination to appoint a rep? Oh, we have one, actually,
Yep.
since it's on our sheet. We talked about it.
If I may, Brooke Moore has offered to be in that position, or to continue on that position. If everybody's in favor.
Is there a motion to nominate Brooke to the,
So moved.
Second?
is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That passes unanimously. Brooke is the rep for NPNEDC.
And I'm going to be harassing the rep if there's anything I feel strongly about.
Especially parking.
Yes. I'm just warning you.
Okay. Now that we have that stated, there any commissioners' reports, comments? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn county
So
commissioners?
moved.
Second.
Moved by Dawn, seconded by Brooke. All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Chair, you need to do a heavier agenda, or people are going to start thinking.